What up, though? This is Mongo Slade. Today, we're going to talk about AEW Dynamite from November the 25th, 2020. Smash the like button, hit subscribe. Let's get right into it. The first match on the show was Hangman Page versus John Silver. And to be quite honest, I did not see the value in this match. I didn't see what the match was about. The Dark Order. I hate the Dark Order. Pretty much everybody does. I don't know anybody who does like Dark Order. Who does like the Dark Order? Nobody. If anything, anybody likes to laugh at the Dark Order. John Silver is a shrimp, and he is just like painfully small. He's almost midget level small. I just can't take him seriously. And this match was what, 10 minutes? I don't have any idea why this match is so long, other than to be a quote unquote showcase for John Silver. But why are we showcasing John Silver? You have so many other people that you could be showcasing. Why him? Why? Why do I care about him? Anyway, he ate a buckshot lariat and got this match over with, which should have happened probably 6 minutes before it actually did. And so this is when I started scratching my head. I scratched my head quite a bit during this episode of AEW Dynamite. I almost scratched like to my scalp bled at one point. But here, Evil Uno, after he beats John Silver, John Silver earlier in the night, had cut this promo about how much the Dark Order likes Hangman Page. We like Hangman Page. He's handsome. He said some other stuff, but he called him handsome, and he's a nice guy. He's a great guy. I'm like, what? What? Okay. So Evil Uno talks about, oh yeah, Hangman Page is, he says that he regretted beating him up before. He said now they're trying to move past all that stuff, and he knows, Hangman Page knows what it's like to try to leave a situation, but they won't let you go. That sounds like a cult to him. And so basically he's saying that the Elite is a cult. That, he's tried to leave the Elite, but they wouldn't let him go. And, if he needs help, the Dark Order will be there for him. And I said to myself, didn't the Young Bucks kick Hangman Page out of the Elite? I'm pretty sure they did. I'm pretty sure. Now I did. Yeah, it's true. It's true that Hangman Page did say that he was going to fall back from the Elite, and then he did. He kind of started doing his own thing. And was he kind of being dragged back in? It was like, no, he was just in a tag team with Kenny Omega. That didn't mean they had to hang out. Just because he was in a tag team with him didn't mean he had to come out and save them all the time. All those times that he did it on his own. And then, if he didn't want anything to do with them, why was he mad he got kicked out of the Elite? This is stupid, period, anyway, because who the fuck really believes that Hangman Page is about to join the Dark Order? And who really wants to see Dark Order versus Hangman Page? Who wants to see Brody Lee wrestle Hangman Page? I guess somebody does. There's an audience for everybody, I guess. So let's talk about the Kenny Omega stuff. We're gonna group like objects, like you do in math. So all of the Kenny Omega, John Moxley stuff throughout the night, we're going to talk about right here, instead of trying to get through hit on all the points. So Kenny Omega has a promo. I don't know, like, is Kenny Omega's hair naturally curly like that? Because if not, he needs to invest in a comb. But if it's naturally curly like that, that's very interesting. That's very, very interesting. He's wearing a suit too, which is very odd. He looked weird in a suit. Anyway, he started talking about the more things change, the more they stay the same. And he's talking about, being the best in the world. And he really could have cut this promo down and basically just said, I'm reasserting myself as the best in the world, which he's already said before. That, since the title tournament, he's back to being the cleaner, back to being, he still didn't explain what the cleaner meant, but he's back to being on form, that he's back to being who he's supposed to be. And that he wants John Moxley to have a gentleman's agreement with John Moxley that they're not going to do any garbage wrestling, that they're going to have a straight up wrestling match, and he wants to be beaten by the skills of John Moxley, and to beat him or make him submit with his own talent. And I appreciated at least that part of this promo. I appreciated that he didn't want to have a garbage match because that's the only kind of match Jon Moxley can have. Then he kind of added a little bit of heat at the end. He's like, "Oh, I heard your story when you were talking about your dad, and it really tugged at my heartstrings." But he says, my dad could beat the shit out of your dad. And I was kind of like, who's your dad? like, at least tell an anecdote about your dad. Like, we talking about Jon Moxley's dad, who basically sounds like an ex-con, okay, who just walks around with a crowbar for no reason. Like, if you're going to tell me that your dad could beat him up, at least tell me like your dad was like a football player or your dad was a boxer. Give me an anecdote about your dad walking around with chopsticks sticking out of his head, or how he stapled his bottom lip to his nose or something like that. Make him sound tough. Don't just be like, my dad could beat up your dad. Because I'm like, I don't believe it. Look who he raised. I don't believe it. I don't believe you. Okay, so later in the show, Eddie Kingston is approached by Jon Moxley because Eddie Kingston is one of the many people that Moxley believes beat him up last week. And Eddie Kingston said, "Oh, it wasn't me. I got other things. I got a new agenda. I got other stuff going on. I'm not interested in beating you up." And Moxley kind of was like, "Okay, I'll buy that." So then we go into the contract signing where they're going to do this long, obnoxious entrance for Kenny Omega. And during the long, obnoxious entrance for Kenny Omega, he gets beaten up by Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley is beating his ass through Silhouette, which is actually pretty cool. I actually like the visual of that. He threw him through that little film screen or whatever the hell that these guys fall through all the time. And he hit him with the DDT on the belt. And I think he did it twice just to incapacitate him. And then, he cut his promo as a prone Omega laid on the mat. He cut this promo, says next time you hire somebody to attack me, hire better guys. He threw some kind of joke in there. He said our heat should have been over last year, but now we're gonna start it all over again. But we're even now because he beat up Kenny Omega. So he signs the contract and tells Kenny Omega that winter is coming for him. And that, I was like, okay, a match that didn't really have much heat before. Now there's heat there. I'm not angry about that. I'm okay with that. This was everything that didn't involve Kenny Omega talking was fine. It was, Kenny Omega just getting physically dominated by Moxley makes sense. Moxley is the bigger man. He's the rougher fighter. And he seemed to attack them from behind, which also is another Moxley thing. Like, why wouldn't he attack him from behind? We still don't know who attacked Jon Moxley. I'm guessing we're going to find out who it was on the episode of Dynamite. Probably is going to be the guy who's going to cost Moxley the title. So that's going to be fine, I guess. It's going to be what it is. So now we're going to get into the Taz stuff. We're going to get into the Taz stuff. So WWE changes people's names. Sometimes they add them. They very rarely add things. They mostly just take things away. So now AEW is like, you know what? I like that idea. Will Hobbs is no longer Will Hobbs. His name is Powerhouse Hobbs. And I said to myself, wow, that is a dumb name. That is a dumb name. It's dumb. But it's not the Viking experience. It's not Shorty G. So I can't be too mad. I also liked what they did here. They did something very interesting. They layered things here. This was a very short match between him and Lee Johnson. Hobbs was dominant. He crushed him. Lee Johnson is a member of the Nightmare family. So it makes sense. They're feuding with Cody. So that's cool. I didn't like that, Will Hobbs is this, or Will. I'm just gonna keep calling him Will Hobbs. I'm not gonna marry myself to the concept of Powerhouse Hobbs yet. And then, I don't like the idea of him wearing orange and black though. That's a little too much Taz for me. He needs to be a little bit more separate from all this crap. He still needs to be himself. He needs to have an individual identity. And I think that too much of this is him going to be able to be he didn't have much of an identity before because he wasn't on TV. But he needs to have an individual identity within this group. So then Taz comes out. He gives Will Hobbs the rest of the day off or whatever. He talks about this FTW title, which he has in his hands. And Taz is talking about this FTW title is being disrespected because Cody did cut that promo in front of that fake Mid-Atlantic background, basically talking about how crappy the FTW title was and how, it didn't mean anything. It didn't mean anything in ECW, and it doesn't mean anything now. And he basically said that he's not leaving until somebody in management recognizes the FTW championship. So as Taz is bumping off at the lips, they cut off his microphone. Then he takes Justin Roberts' microphone. They cut that one off too. So then Cody pokes his head out from the tunnel with a headset on to let you know he was actually at the gorilla position producing the show. Because, you got to know that Cody is doing what Cody does, right? And he's like, Taz is done. Okay? Taz is done. Taz, it's over. Okay? It's over. I heard you. I understand. It's over. Okay? Are you done here? Are you done? Okay. Thank you. Everybody, Taz is done. Taz is done talking. And everybody, no, Taz is not done talking. Taz has barely gotten started talking. So Taz says that he wants the FTW championship recognized. And then, Cody says, look, I'll run it up the flagpole. I run it up the flagpole. So then Taz started saying, don't give me into that corporate shit. Don't give me into that corporate shit. What are you going to do? Tell me next. The creative ain't got nothing for me. What are you going to tell me next? Best of luck in my future endeavors. Of course, these are our WWE stuff. This is all WWE shit, right? They mention them every week. You mention them every week. I'm not mad about it. I just feel like they mention them every week. Anyway, so Cody gets mad. And Cody's like, oh, the FTW championship, it means so much, right? The FTW lifestyle. I like that he changed from FTW championship to FTW lifestyle. I do like that. That was good. That was good stuff because he got you thinking about this bullshit belt that doesn't mean anything. But what FTW really is a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle choice. It's a decision, right? Fuck the world. It's all about me. So I like that Cody talked to the lifestyle because it took it from the belt to Taz's way of thinking. And he says, if FTW lifestyle is so great, why is your son training with me? And everybody was like, ooh. And Taz was like, you crossed the line, Cody. You're gone too far. You're going too far, Cody. You're going too far. And then Cody was like, just kind of like, whatever. And then he's like, Taz is done. Taz is over. It's over. It's over here. Taz puts him in the Taz mission. Stand-in Taz mission. The Guns come out there and made the save, ran Taz off because that's what babyface is supposed to do. NXT did not get the memo. And then Taz and his son, whose name is Hook, apparently, walk out with the FTW championship. And I say, okay. I thought about that for a second. I was like, okay, I like everything up to the point where the son was mentioned. Here's why I don't like why the son was mentioned. He was never introduced into the story before. This is another issue of you talking about things and expecting other people to know. Maybe they knew on the internet that his son was training with the Nightmare family. Maybe. But I didn't know that. Okay, like I didn't even know Taz had a son. How much time would it really have taken for Taz to have standing on the stage with Starks and all of those guys, and his son was standing there too, like, yeah. And then Taz was like, my son right here, he's the future of the business. And then we find out later that he's really just been training with Cody. Then I would have been like, oh, okay. But now we like, okay, well, Taz got this kid, and this kid is really training with Cody. but they didn't introduce this kid before. It was just basically like a shock value thing. And this is like the Vince Russo gimmick of, shock value. So I was like, okay, it worked for a shock segment. But then I was like, okay, I don't know who this kid is. I don't know if this kid really exists. And when am I ever going to see this kid? And it's like, oh, here he is. completely nondescript, wearing a hood so you can't see his face. It's like, okay, we just had this big moment with this kid. We don't get to see him. We don't get to see Taz interact with him. Like, we don't get to see, like, did Taz know this whole time? It's like, obviously he did, right? So why is Taz angry about it if Taz knew about it the whole time? So, I don't know. But Taz was angry. Him and his son stormed off. Later in the show, Ricky Starks cuts a fantastic promo. Everything about this promo with Ricky Starks was great. Except one thing. We'll get to that one thing. But Ricky Starks' delivery, the way he carried himself in this promo, about, it was fantastic. It was really good. He was talking about how much he loves AEW, that they get paid well, they get good spots, they get good matches. The only problem with AEW is Cody and his fragile, paper thin ego. As Ricky Starks called it, paper thin. He's talking about, like, Cody wants to try to hide the fact that him and Darby Allin lost. That's why he wanted Taz microphones to get cut off, because he didn't want Taz to talk about how they had beaten Cody already. And he's talking about, like, now it's personal. Now that you done brought up Taz's son, it's personal. It's not business anymore. He says, myself and Powerhouse Hobbs, we're going to go in there and bust Cody and Darby Allin's heads open. And then Brian Cage comes in. He's like, yeah, and who better? Team Taz, who better? Or some shit. And I said to myself, Brian Cage sounds like Ricky Starks looks. And Ricky Starks sounds like Brian Cage looks. I mean, the intensity, the pointed, directed anger, the intensity, the fierceness of Ricky Starks' voice made him feel like he was a lot bigger than he really was. Brian Cage's voice is so soft, and it lacked so much intensity, so much energy, that he looked like he was the size of Ricky Starks. This says a lot, okay? Like, it says a lot, because Brian Cage is literally like the size of 3 Ricky Starks. But I would believe, after that promo, that Ricky Starks would try to beat my ass. I would believe it. Because he was very, very frustrated by this whole ordeal. Because they were so frustrated, they were talking in this promo because Taz had stormed off and left. That's how offended Taz was by Cody talking about his son. But Brian Cage opening his mouth, I was like, oh my God, never again, dog. Don't do that again. Just don't do it. Don't do it again. So the next match, which was the third match on the card, was Top Flight versus the Hybrid 2. Now, this match was really interesting, especially since I was not paying attention when this match was made. And I saw on Twitter Angelico talking about the match. And Angelico was basically saying, like, when I was 21 years old, I got robbed going to Mexico. I got robbed in Mexico and was too ashamed to tell anybody that I had gotten robbed. And so I walked home for 5 hours, from training. And this guy is on TV at 21. And then he tells another story about when he was 19, some horrible thing happened to him. And he was like, do I resent these guys for getting these opportunities? You'll see tonight. And I was like, okay, I'm interested now. Because I see now where they're going with this character, with this gimmick, is that the Hybrid 2 are 2 guys who, put a lot of time in, a lot of effort in. And these young punks are coming in and taking their TV time. Thumbs up. I like that idea. So we come in and have a standard flippity-doo match. Because, again, that's all Top Flight can do. And that's the only thing that the Hybrid 2 can do. And Angelico submits the younger brother, whose name I forgot already. I know Darius is the Airwolf. It's Darius, I believe. I don't remember the name of the other one. So sorry, young guy. It was a smart decision. Top Flight can take a loss. I mean, they're new. They're rookies. Who cares? Anyway, the Young Bucks ran out there to help them which made sense because, again, babyfaces do that stuff. NXT need to take note. Okay, so the next segment was Vicky Guerrero talking about Brandy Rhodes and nepotism. Who cares? Really, legit, who cares? We know that Brandy only got a job because of because of who she married to, and therefore Brandy puts on her friends. So what? We get a fantastic promo from FTR. I watched this promo 4 times. Cash Wheeler, disappointed in himself, said that the Full Gear was the worst night of his life. And then Dax Harwood. I actually took my time to remember their names because this promo was good. Talked about how much he needed to be the AEW World Tag Team Champions, and that you may beat Billy the Kid, but that doesn't mean you're better than Billy the Kid. We're the best. We're the baddest. And I need to be the AEW World Tag Team Champion. He's pounding the table. He's so emotional. This promo was short too, so I got to watch it multiple times. These guys were so good. And Tully was like, "This is your destiny to be the AEW World Tag Team Champions." And then he told him to feel the revelations. I was like, okay, that's so good. That's so good. That's good stuff. We need more of that stuff. We need more stuff like that. Less stuff like Kenny Omega talking. More stuff like this stuff, like these guys talking. Why can't we get everybody to talk like these guys talk? Okay? Less of that Evil Uno shit too. If you want to put that on the menu, scrape it off and dump it in the trash. Anyway, the next match was Jericho and Hager of the Inner Circle versus Kaz and Daniels of SCU. And it was promoted as the very first ever Daniels versus Jericho match. And, okay, I'll buy it. It's a tag team match, but I'll buy it. They've never been in the same ring before, as far as I know. Daniels obviously was the babyface in Peril, being 50 years old. He, older than even Jericho. And it was okay. The Inner Circle did a lot of cheating. They protected SCU with all the cheating that the Inner Circle was doing. After Daniels got sucker punched with the Dynamite Diamond ring from MJF, and he got pinned, and then Daniels got pinned. So the Inner Circle wins. Everything is all well and good with the world. Then Kaz, being big tough guy that he is, takes a cheap shot on MJF, knocks him on his ass. There's nothing wrong with that except for the fact that he got stomped out by the rest of the Inner Circle. So he's a fucking goof for doing it. And then Scorpio Sky ran out there, who for some reason didn't come out when all the cheating was going on. Like, I don't understand that. Like, we all watching the same match. Like, these people are out here cheating. They're pulling legs. They're throwing dynamite diamond ring punches. Why didn't you come out sooner? Scorpio Sky? What took you so long? Did you decide there's a sufficient enough cheat out going on out here? Why was there everybody from the Inner Circle out there? That's like that same thing with the Dark Order. Like, there's everybody comes out. The same thing with Cody. Like, everybody comes out. Like, can't we get like one person? Why does everybody need to be out there? But whatever. It served its purpose to protect SCU. It was decent. Nothing that really pissed me off. Nothing made me mad. So later in the show, MJF was very, very angry that Kazarian sucker punched him. Called him a scumbag and some more shit. And then Jericho challenged Kaz to a match. The first ever Frankie Kazarian versus Chris Jericho match will take place next week on Dynamite. And I was actually excited for this until I remembered that this is the Frankie Kazarian from TNA. Because I was thinking like, oh man, I just literally saw on Twitter this awesome 4 or 5 minutes of the match that he did with Kurt Angle. I literally saw this on Twitter not too long ago because it was like the anniversary of that match. And I was like, man, Frankie Kazarian was something. Like, I remember, like, again, I say this almost every time I talk about him. I remember when Frankie Kazarian was on like Velocity in WWE, really like gaining steam. Like, he could have been, I don't know what he could have been, but he had something. And in TNA, he was able to hit a bit of a stride and got a good run with Kurt Angle. And then I had to remember, like, this isn't that Frankie Kazarian, because this shit was 10 years ago. I was like, Frankie Kazarian's a little bit older now. I'm still excited for it because I like that. I like Frankie Kazarian, but I'm okay with it. I would have preferred that MJF would have fought Frankie Kazarian personally, but they're trying to draw viewers, so they're like, we're going to put Jericho in the spot, even though it probably would have made more sense for it to be MJF, because now you got Jericho fighting MJF's battles for him. And they basically kind of did the thing that MJF wanted, because he's getting, he get attacked. All of the inner circle, whether they wanted him in or not, are now beating up FCU. Like, he's one of the boys now, so he can do no wrong. So I did kind of like that. That was fine. Okay, so what was the next thing? Okay, before we get to that, they did this thing with Miro and Kip Sabian that made me absolutely ill. I wrote down literally, this hurts. They had a segment where Miro and Kip Sabian was about to do something video game related. I don't know what it is, but there was like an Xbox or something on in the background, and they were in some type of van, bus, truck, something, and they were about to have some kind of video game session. And Orange Cassidy just very calmly stepped onto the scene and turned their video game off and turned around and walked out. And Miro just, he chimped out and jumped out of the thing, and they got ambushed by best friends. And what ensued was the corniest, most shit put together fight. It's not that I've ever seen, because I've seen some pretty corny put together fights, but this was some real dog shit. Okay, this was real dog shit. So you got this fight scene where Orange Cassidy is just standing off to the side, not doing anything, as his boys beat up Miro and Kip Sabian. So Miro is running himself into the wall, and Kip Sabian with the most telegraphed, the most choreographed elbow, like he's waiting. It's slow. It's not impactful. He's like, ugh. And then he tries to climb, and then the guy grabbed him like underneath, and then the other guy, like I think Trent might have grabbed him. No, it was Chuck Taylor that grabbed him, and then Trent grabbed him, and then they both ran him into a porta potty, and he was slumped into the porta potty, and then Miro grabs the cameraman. He's shaking the cameraman. Move out of the way. And he throws the cameraman to the ground. And I was like, bro, what the fuck? Literally. Like, this was stupid. This was stupid. You know how you could have did this almost exact same thing, but did it better? Orange Cassidy comes in there and doesn't fuck with their fucking video games. Instead, he says something like, hey, dumbasses, I fucked your wife or something. Something that's a little bit more intimidating than I turned off your little video game. What are you going to do? It's like something, anything. Hit him in the face with a tomato or something, anything. And then as Miro comes out there like the big raging bull that he is, he gets attacked with people like pipes and bats and shit. Like in that movie, like in Casino, where Joe Pesci and his brother got beat with those bats. You could have did the same thing with Miro and Kip Sabian, where Miro is out there, he runs out there about the video game, and then he gets hit in the knee with a bat. And then boop, he gets hit in the back with the bat. So now he's down, and it's just Kip Sabian by himself. And best friends is there. They got baseball bats. And Orange Cassidy might be behind them with his hands in his pockets. Like, okay, now it's your turn. And then they beat him with the bat. And you could have did this same exact thing with the same ambush, but did it more impactfully. And, did it in a short amount of time. Instead of them making this bullshit fight scene that looked fake as fuck. You could have just did a thing where we hit Miro in the knee with a bat. We hit him in the shoulder with a bat to keep him down. And then we hemmed up Kip Sabian and beat his ass. And then that was it. You know, don't fuck with us. But you would have had to be tough guys and not mama's boys in order to pull that kind of shit off. I love that scene from Casino, by the way, because it's completely fucked up. It's mental. You know, when they started beating those guys with those bats, man, and threw them in like a shallow grave, I'm like, that's fucked up. That's fucked up. It would have been perfect in a wrestling storyline. Would have been perfect to have a guy get ambushed and beat with bats. It would have been fantastic. So, the fifth match of the night was Anna Jay versus Hikaru Shida for the AEW Women's Championship. They played the same video package that they played previous week, except for there's some little additions to it. They led people to believe that Shida could possibly lose, which they did a good job here. Shida talks like an anime character, which is fine because she's Japanese, but she says very anime things. Like she said, losing is learning. But if you need Dark Order to be your friends, what did you really learn? She's like, Anna Jay, you do not need a belt. What you need is more heart. Anna Jay, I want to see your real power. And I'm like, what? Why is she talking like Dragon Ball characters? Like, what is going on here? Why is she a sage? I don't care. Like, I don't care. I love Hikaru Shida. I don't care. As long as she's doing cool stuff, I don't care. As long as she wins, I don't give a shit. So, they booked this match very weird. Okay. Not because it was bad. It was actually very well booked because Anna Jay is not a physical threat. Now, here's the problem that I had with this whole ordeal. They said to me, oh, I was a rookie when you wrestled me before. And I was like, how long ago was that? And then I said it was this year. I was sure it was this year. And then JR was like, these two had a match in April. I was like, April? That was 7 months ago. How are you not a rookie? And you've only been doing this for 7 months. You're still a rookie. Still very much a rookie. Still very much new to the biz. Anyway, I had to overlook that. They had a pretty decent match. It wasn't, again, Anna Jay has never been pushed as anybody that's a physical threat to anyone else. I've never seen any of the opponents she's beaten because she's only won matches on Dark. She hasn't had a major win over anybody major, so who cares? But they did do some interesting things. For instance, she's ordered Tainara Kanchi, who did a lot of talking for some reason with her heavy accent. So there was a lot of accent flowing around in that video package. But she demanded Tainara Kanchi to give her a steel chair. Tainara gave her the chair, but didn't really want to give her the chair. And was just kind of like holding on to it. Like, no. I guess she was trying not to stop her from getting disqualified. Or was she trying to stop her because she didn't want her to hit Hikaru Shida with the chair? I don't know. Was she trying to be a good guy? Or was she just trying to protect this title shot? I don't know. And maybe that's a good question we're going to answer later. But at the end, she did give Shida the chair. She gave Anna Jay the chair. The referee then turns, snatches the chair from Anna Jay. This gives John Silver a chance to take Hikaru Shida's kendo stick and hand it to Anna Jay, who then swipes Shida across the knee because Shida has an injured knee from her match with Nyla Rose. They did a good job of showing that in the video package too, because that really created the drama of after Shida whacked her in the knee with this kendo stick that maybe it's over. Maybe that's a good finish is that, you whacked her in her already injured knee with a kendo stick and you pinned her. It would have been perfectly fine. Would have protected the hell out of Shida because she already is coming into the match hurt. And it would have been a situation where it was 100 of them outside the ring giving weapons and stuff. It wouldn't have mattered at all. At the end, Shida won with the running knee. Still fine. Still perfectly fine. And Anna Jay and Titan Conti, carried her away. Everything is well and good. So then, as Sheeta is celebrating, Abaddon shows up. And this is where, things get a little bit weird. Because not only because Abaddon is strange, but you also have this situation of it would have been a perfect time for the lights to go out. Like Abaddon is a character much like Su Yung and Rosemary and the Fiend and the Undertaker and all these sort of demonic characters where you do better when you turn the lights out. But because it's outside facility, I don't think they have the option of turning the lights out. So, because there's no roof. So, Abaddon was just out there sliding across the floor, and Sheeta was spooked and fell to the floor, holding her knee, and she had dropped the AEW Women's Championship, which Abaddon picked up and licked. And I swear to God, the first thing I said was, I'm lucky. She should be lucky Paige didn't have that belt. Because if Paige would have had that belt, man, that would have blew my mind. It would have blown my mind. But I liked Abaddon when she got signed. It was unfortunate she got hit in the throat and almost killed by Tainara Kanti. Very, very. So I'm okay with Abaddon versus Sheeta. I think I've probably only seen one or two Abaddon matches. But aesthetically, as far as monster girls and wrestling, I'm okay with it. Thumbs up. Do something with these people that you have on the roster. So then Matt Hardy cuts this promo. And Matt Hardy is talking about he's the most innovative, trailblazing wrestler of all, in the world or something like that. And, he wants to inspire us to fight on, to survive 2020. And all is right with the world now that he's got his colossal victory over Sammy Guevara, even though it hasn't changed Sammy Guevara at all. And he says, as you go through your pedestrian and small troubles compared to my colossal struggles, think about what would Matt do? Thrive, survive, and win. Or survive, thrive, and win. And I said, this is a fucking heel promo. When did Matt Hardy turn heel? When did Matt Hardy turn heel? That's a heel promo. When did he turn heel? In this promo? Like he had a concussion like 3 weeks ago. Like we all thought he was going to die not too long ago. We were all supposed to be getting behind him as the conquering hero not too long ago. Now he's calling us all of our problems pedestrian. Being a megalomaniac, calling himself an icon. Why can't they keep this shit together? Why is everything with them always going to be so over the top? I don't get it. I mean, somebody got to get a leash on this motherfucker, man. Matt Hardy needs to get like some ideas and keep them some bitches in his head. So to close the show, we got a lot of Eddie Kingston stuff. So Eddie Kingston earlier in the night cut a promo, basically talking about his former best friend, Penta El Zero M, or Pentagon Jr. as I call him. He basically said he was disappointed in Penta, but he was not surprised at all by Phoenix, because Phoenix is a showboat who does flippity shit. But he says, Pac, you've been gone for 8 months. The battle, the king is here now, but you're preparing for the battle. I'll prepare for the war. And then of course he got cut off by Jon Moxley, which I said earlier. Jon Moxley believed that Eddie Kingston was one of the people who attacked him, even though he wasn't. So the main event of the show was the Butcher and the Blade versus Pac and Phoenix. And this is essentially the same match we had the previous week where Pac wrestled the Blade, except for there was now Phoenix and the Butcher involved. It was a pretty standard tag team match. The Butcher and Phoenix and Pac did some, Phoenix did what Phoenix does. Eddie Kingston ran out there, pushed pulled Phoenix's leg while he was on the top rope, and he fell over, and then Butcher and the Blade hit their finish on him for the pin. So the Butcher and the Blade win a main event of Dynamite, which seems like this is the first time ever for that sort of occurrence. And then they beat the hell out of Death Triangle. They beat all of them up. I don't know where Penta went, but I'm pretty sure he got beat up too. He was out there. He got beat up. Everybody got beat up. And it was looking like a good old time for Eddie Kingston and his boys. This was going to be pretty sweet. And then out comes Lance Archer like a house of fire, beating up the Butcher, the Blade, and Eddie Kingston, bumping these guys all over the place, knocking them all over the top rope. And here comes Jake Roberts. And I said to myself, like, oh, look at this. Oh, look at this. Oh, look at this. Why the fuck are they turning Lance Archer face? Why? This is the death knell of that character. If you're going to turn that guy face, it's over. Okay? It's over. And he said, oh, this is the heat from the Battle Royal. They still don't like each other from the Battle Royal. I'm like, bro, what happened in that Battle Royal is not sufficient enough to warrant a babyface turn. It's not. It's not even sufficient enough for Lance Archer to come running out there to protect Pentagon, Phoenix, and Pac. Now, the only thing that you got is, what, you about to have the death square? You about to have the death square because Jake Roberts is gonna what, side with Pentagon, Phoenix, and Pac? It's gonna be Pentagon, Phoenix, Pac, and Lance Archer as one group. I don't know, man. Look, I'm not so sure. Here's the thing about the whole Eddie Kingston, Lance Archer thing. It would have made a lot more sense for Eddie Kingston to be the babyface, because we had already been invested in his story. We don't know shit about Lance Archer, nor do we care. I mean, really, do we? So this shit feels like, well, we don't know what else to do with him. So we're just going to throw him in this situation. And maybe it's a swerve, because you already got this situation where a lot of people, myself included, believed that Lance Archer was going to be the guy who beat up Moxley. And so now we're saying, well, he probably is not going to be the guy who beat up Moxley because he's a babyface now. He's doing babyface things now. And maybe that's the case. Maybe that's the way we're going with this. But ultimately, I don't like it. I think it's dumb. Mainly because I feel like we did this already, where you had the previous week, you had Penta come out and save Pac and Phoenix. And now you're going to have Lance Archer turn babyface to save Pac, Phoenix, and Penta. So what are you going to do next week? You're going to have somebody else turn to save these guys again? I mean, it made no sense to me, man. You just turned all these guys face. It would have been okay for Eddie Kingston and his boys to just stomp these guys out to end Dynamite. Would have been fine. Just have those guys get stomped out. But the idea of Lance Archer as a babyface, man, that does not appeal to me at all. It doesn't appeal to me. That's the death knell of this character. It'll never get over. If it couldn't get over as a heel, it'll never get over as a babyface. It is easier to get people to not like you than it is to get people to like you. You know, there's books about, you don't need a book on how to get people to hate you. You need to read books about how to get people to like you. What's that book called? How to Win Friends and Influence People? There's no how to turn people off and make them hate your guts, because it's clearly 100 million ways to do that. You know, but all the kissing ass in the world won't get people to like you. So we're in a situation where Lance Archer is just in limbo. They don't know what to do with him. And therefore, they're just going to fuck over him. And that's unfortunate. Turning him babyface is a big fucking mistake. It is a huge mistake. Now, I know AEW is the land of there's no baby faces in heels. You know, the magic wand means there's no baby faces in heels. And in their mind, they could probably think, oh, we can have him beat up Moxley and save Pac. And, you know, it's like, no, but you can't do that. Can't really do that. You have to pick a lane and follow through. But AEW made me very, very tired. I mean, they did. They really tried their best. That whole Miro and Kip Sabian stuff, man. It's almost always those guys, though. Those guys put the nail in my motherfucking coffin every week now. I mean, it's hard. It's hard when people have been telling you, oh, WWE doesn't know what to do with Miro or Rusev. Oh, he was so wasted. Oh, he should have won the title from AJ Styles. Oh, he should have did this. And you're like, oh, Maybe. And then you see him in, I was about to call it TNA. You see him with AEW, and you're saying everything he does now revolves around video games. Everything he does revolves around video games. It's fucking bullshit. But what do I know? I'm just some guy on the internet, man. I ain't no booker. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Thank you guys for listening to my rant on AEW Dynamite. Feel free to send me some money for Black Friday or something like that. If you and I'll talk to you guys later.